My name's Rick Sodlin from the Wheatbelt Business Network. On behalf of the WBN team, we're really pleased to be bringing you these masterclasses aimed to help you and your business succeed. If you've got any feedback from today or topics you'd like covered in future masterclasses, please get in touch with us. We hope you enjoy today's topic.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on a beautiful Monday afternoon in the Wheatbelt. We're really delighted to be co-hosting this event with the team at the Narrabeen CRC. Georgia has put on a physical event there, so it's a unique hybrid model for us for this masterclass, where we've got a number of you tuning in virtually from throughout the Wheatbelt, as well as a group attending physically at the Narrabeen CRC. So thank you for everybody. I just wanted to check those of you that are online, if you could just give a quick thumbs up that you can hear me okay and that your audio is working and we're not missing anything. That would be terrific. It will be an interactive session today, but there will be some questions that we'll get asked as we go. So feel free to jump in and be involved. The more we put into these events, the better they generally turn out with input from you. Now, I've just lost my notes, so I'm just going to try and find them. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, so we're very fortunate today to have with us Doug Burley, who is a business advisor, strategist, and life coach. This afternoon's masterclass, Doug's going to be delving into the essential elements that will contribute to business success. Doug himself's got a wealth of experience having worked for large companies. He's led large teams and also conceived and started his own businesses. He now runs a coaching and client advisory service, and we're fortunate to have him with us this evening. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time, and I will hand over now to Doug to run this masterclass for us all this evening. So Doug, thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Rick, and thank you to the Wheatbelt team and the Narrabeen team. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Now, I'm going to try and split it sort of probably about half an hour presentation and half an hour quick Q&A, but let's see how we go. I'm going to be looking to my right every once in a while, and that's because I've got my mind map of thoughts there. I didn't really want to miss out on anything. I thought I'd capture my thoughts on paper and just refer to them as we speak. So forgive me for just looking to my right every once in a while. So the subject is unlocking success. And, you know, it sounds like an easy subject to cover, and it perhaps to some people sounds like an easy thing to do. But let me start by saying that the world is proliferated by predominantly family-owned businesses. And in fact, if you look at the USA, 89% of all businesses that operate in the US are family-owned. Now, the startling sort of reality there is that most of those, and the figures are not overly dissimilar in Australia and other parts of the world, most of those employ less than 20 people. So they're small businesses. Not to say that family-owned businesses don't get big, because some of the biggest family-owned businesses in the world are the likes of Hallmark cards, Fidelity Investments, and a plethora of others, in fact, that live amongst the biggest family businesses in the world. But the important point to note is that success is not easily achieved. Roughly 50% of new businesses that start fail within the first 5 years. So if you go into it eyes wide open, in that knowledge, you reduce the chances of your failure. Okay. Now, there's a number of different reasons why they fail. And of course, the flip side of failure is success. And in putting together this talk, I was thinking of the business owner, the business leader, manager, the entrepreneur, and the family-owned business leader. Now, it's important to point out that family-owned businesses are a completely different type of entity or business type, for a number of different reasons, not least of all that families involved. And we can speak about what that means as we go. But it does complicate things quite significantly. And one has to have a significant amount of experience and knowledge in this space to successfully advise those types of businesses. I just so happen to have done a master's level thesis in family-owned business and written a book on the subject. So to start with, when we're looking at success, the key question is, well, what do you want to achieve? So, and that means different things to different people. You know, what do you want to achieve? What does success look like? As a kickoff point, it's important to, I suppose, acknowledge that roughly 76% of people that start their own family-owned or privately owned business do so for what's called lifestyle reasons. Okay. Now, many of us can relate to this. We hate having to wake up at a certain time and be somewhere by a certain time and to have to do things and leave no sooner than a certain time and be assessed on how well we're doing that by somebody else. So lifestyle purposes to me means, and this is coined in the term which is often referred to these days as the new rich. The new rich in this world today are defined by mobility and time. Okay. How much control do I have over my mobility? Because you can really work from anywhere in the world these days, and you can work at any time where you want to. But time is the commodity that's most precious. And we don't want necessarily to have others in control of our time. So that's why 76% of businesses go in search of a better lifestyle. 24% go in search of making money. Now, my experience has been, having advised small to medium and large and sat on the boards and been chairman and you name it, of these types of businesses for the last 15 years, is that lifestyle situation, you can throw it out the window, quite frankly. They work harder, they're more stressed, they have less time, they wear more hats, the risk is attached directly to their mortgage, their children call them uncle when they get home or auntie, the dog bites them, they don't go fishing with mates anymore, and life is just not good. Okay, so lifestyle, it's a misnomer. Let's be honest. Now, in order for you to achieve success, that's just the background. In order for you to achieve success, one, you got to know what it is, and then you have to have courage. You need to be pretty courageous to step out on your own, or to take on a leadership position or a management position in an organization. And you have to have self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe that you can do it, then nobody else will. And when you turn around to look and see who's following you, there will be nobody there, quite frankly. Now, to give you an example, and I did say in the prelude to this presentation, I would share personal examples, case studies, models, theories, and the like. I took on the role of managing director of what was then called Retail Collective Investments of Standard Bank, the largest bank in the Southern Hemisphere, employing 130,000 people. And it was a business that was in decline, the investment management business. And at the time, I was roughly 34 years old. I was the youngest director in that group at the time of 190 directors worldwide. And the reason I took that on is because I believed I could do it. I believed I could turn it around. And that belief needs to be contagious. Your people need to buy into that belief, and they need to believe your story, and they need to believe that you can do it, and they need to want to follow you. Another very quick example, I bought 300... Hello?
It's good jump in the shower, mate, and then come and chat to me.
Somebody having a shower. Good, good. I bought 380 hectares on the beachfront. This is South Africa now, in roughly 2004 on a handshake. And I had to pay 50 million within 6 weeks. And I think my bank account at the time probably had $5,000. Most incredible land. But I had self-belief. I believed that I could come up with the money, and I believed that I could do it. I just had to convince other people. Now, we shook hands on that, and I committed to coming up with 50 million in 6 months' time. I then invited a business partner in, because I've done none of these things on my own, because I realized my own limitations, and that's an important factor. And we sat down and we took out the proverbial whiteboard, and we started to work on, well, how are we going to do this? And one of the key or two of the key factors to start with, and I had some corporate finance background. I got a corporate law degree, and I've got other degrees and things of that nature. And I had been working in the space for some time, but my knowledge only went so far. And what I knew in this case is that, one, I didn't have the money, so we would have to use other people's money. And two is that the loss of control invariably leads to failure, not success. So you want to maintain control, voting control, shareholder control in what you do. Long story short, we set about constructing a very, very innovative investment product, an instrument called the Linked Investment Unit. We built a 2x1 topographical model and set it all out so that people could visualize what it is that we were looking to prepare. And then we went to our primary stakeholders. And our primary stakeholders in this regard, as it was in South Africa at the time, were government. So stakeholder management to achieve success is vitally important. We went to the guys on the ground, first and foremost, the local mayor. We lobbied with the local mayor, and he opened the doors right up to the deputy president for us. We raised the 50 million within 6 weeks. We bought the land, and we went about building a 330-home secure eco estate on the east coast of South Africa at the value of, in conversion terms, 200 million Australian dollars. Now, that's coming from a person that my sole experience in building and development was probably putting on a spare bedroom on my home. That was it. But I had belief, self-belief. If you don't have that belief and you don't have that courage, then don't embark on these things. You have to be creative and innovative. Okay, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit further down the line. You cannot not be creative and innovative. You have to have access and be able to mobilize key resources. And the most important key resources in achieving success are other people and money or capital. And if you don't know how to access capital or money, or to motivate people and inspire them, you're not going to get to where you want to be. And if you think you can do it yourself and you think you can go it alone, you're extremely mistaken. You know, I'm a person with 6 qualifications. I think 4 are degrees, and you can tell from the gray hair, I've been knocking around for almost 40 years. I have a lot of knowledge, but I've never, ever gone it alone. You have to align with other people. And then you have to have what I call big game temperament. You need to be able to manage the stress and the pressure and the disappointment, the sleepless nights and the worry, because that is all part and parcel of starting your own business, your own initiative, your own innovation, taking on leadership, etc., etc. Key skills, you need to be convincing. You know, if you're going to be talking to stakeholders, shareholders, investors, you're going to be leading a team, you really cannot be standing up at the front of the room blowing bubbles and unsure of yourself and not convincing. And you need to be able to market your idea and the like. Importantly, you need to have resilience and willpower, and you need to be able to focus, and you need to be able to pivot. You know, what you think you're setting out to achieve at the get-go, things often change. Obstacles are thrown in your way. You have to pivot, and you have to have that ability to flex and move as you go. And importantly, from some very tough lessons, you need to be able to stay in control of your ego. If you let your ego get in the way, you're not going to succeed. So be humble. When you feel your ego coming forward and posing a problem, get on top of it. You know, I've had some significant blowouts, let's call them blowouts, as a result of my ego. And I can attribute a lot of it to being young and inexperienced, but those words that fall out of your mouth often get in the way of you achieving success. And I wish I can pinpoint those things now, 10, 15, 20 years later, where I wish I had the ability and the maturity and the wherewithal to check my ego at the door and not let those words fall out my mouth. In negotiation, you know, the ducks of UWA and strategic negotiation, they call this integrative negotiation style. It's a win-win approach. The moment you go into a win-lose negotiation process, you're bound to fail. You're bound to fail. The success formula that I like to refer to, and those of you who have got pens in front of you and paper in front of you, please write this down. P, so it's a capital P, little t, equals capital L times capital AIS times capital M E times capital O, capital A equals P, capital P, R. Did we all get that? I'm seeing a whole bunch of people smiling back at me. And you're wondering, what the hell is that, Doug? That's a success formula that I have in my mind when I look at anything. When I go into clients and I work with them, when I get invited into large corporates or teams and the like to talk to them, I say, please implant this in your mind and pull it out. Now, having done an MBA, and I was never the brightest guy in the room, I failed the last year of school, largely because I broke my neck playing rugby and I was laying in hospital for 6 months and I had to redo it. But I was never the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I qualified with my MBA with distinction and whatever else. And what they do there is they simply drum models, frameworks, theories, etc., into your mind for 2 years. And some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. So this kind of sticks. The PT is, what's the performance targets that you desire? Now, success or results is not enough. It's not enough. Okay, when you're looking at results and you're looking at achieving success, you need to know, what are the desired results that I'm looking to achieve? Not just anything, because, you know, the old saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, is quite true. So if we then, the last PR is performance result. Okay. Now, in business, and we're going to stick with business here, the PT, performance target, and the performance result, they're both number-based. In the main, number-based. Because if you're not making numbers, if you're not making money, you are out of business, which comes to a surprise to a lot of small businesses when cash flow drives up and they are out of business. That starts with the numbers, ends with the numbers. Everything in between those two equation signs is people. And if you're going to be the first L, the big L, an effective leader, you need to know that. If you're going to achieve success, you're going to achieve success with and through other people. Okay. So I just want to touch on leadership there for a moment. Okay, it's vitally important from the point of view that it's important to know that there isn't a one-size-fits-all. Leadership styles come in 4 distinct ways or abilities: directive, coercive, collaborative, and consultative. Now, if you're going into a turnaround situation and the culture is pretty toxic and pretty broken and you've got to fix this thing quickly, you don't have time to go softly, softly. You have to be directive and coercive. You have to fix it. You have to put it right. If you're going into an environment which is full of very intelligent, very smart, capable, independent, self-starter, self-motivated, successful people, you need to adopt a collaborative, consultative approach. Now, the message I want to put here is, as a leader, you need to be able to move from one end of the spectrum to the other quite seamlessly, given the circumstances you face. I'm going to waffle through the others because I'm, of course, mindful of time, but we do touch on it as we go. The IAS is individual attributes and skills. Now, Jim Collins, in his book, Good to Great, okay, write that down, Good to Great. Jim Collins speaks highly about level 5 leadership and talks highly about having the right people on the bus from the get-go. Now, I've worked in teams, we've all worked in teams where, quite frankly, we may have one or more people on the bus that should not be there. And if you can't upskill them, if you can't motivate them, if you can't change their view on life, well, you've got to fire your failures fast. And I say that with all kinds of reservations because we live in an incredibly tough employment, human resource world these days. So don't just rush out and fire half your team tomorrow on what I said today, because that's a minefield. Don't do that. Okay. But have the right people on the team with the right attributes and the right skills to get you to where you want to be. And then motivation and enthusiasm or energy. Something I really, really hate is micromanagement. Okay. Because you're close to the process, because you are staying on top of the detail, doesn't mean that you have to micromanage. That's one way to destroy your team's enthusiasm, trust, flair, desire, you name it. Don't do it. Give them autonomy, empower them, motivate them, celebrate the small wins, support them, acknowledge failures as areas of growth, and in a way, stay out of their way. Stay out of the way. But I don't mean stay out of their way completely. Check in every couple of weeks with each individual and the team, but motivate them and give them energy and enthusiasm. Organizational attributes. Now, that's incredibly important because you're not going to achieve success unless you've got the right organizational attributes to achieve that success. I'm going to touch on this as I kind of turn the next couple of pages. I'm just checking my time here. When you think organizational attributes, just write the following underneath that. Business model. Now, so often, and I've given, I don't know, I lose count, let's say hundreds of presentations and talks and interactions and the like through the years. And when I say to people, well, tell me, what does your business model look like? They typically look back at me as though I've just hit them on the head with a club. They don't really get the concept, which is fundamental to achieving success. And I'm going to share with you what that means in a moment. Then I really like, okay, from another framework, template, model point of view, the McKinsey 7S model. Okay, so that's really got to do with strategy implementation. 10% of the effort is in formulating strategy, 90% of the effort is in implementing strategy. And if you don't know how to do that, which a lot of people don't, you end up spinning your wheels and not getting to where you want to be. Critical capabilities. So in terms of organizational attributes, critical capabilities is vitally important. I just want to say that a lot of what I talk to here actually lives on my website. So critical capabilities, I've produced a Excel spreadsheet. The formulas and everything are in there. People that are listening to this, all they have to do is go in, put in their name and their telephone number, download it, and they can rank themselves and see where they have problems. I can assure you they have problems in probably 3 key areas off the bat. Number 1, finance, financial systems, financial capability, and the like. Now, if you don't understand the numbers, and if you're not across the numbers, you're in a bad place. Okay. 2, human resources. If you've got problems and deficiencies in the human resource space, you're walking through a minefield. 3, marketing and business development. You know, and of course, there are other areas, but do yourself a favor and go and have a look at that. There are others there. I've got the SWOT analysis and you name it, they're there. And there's also 600 articles that I've written targeting small to medium businesses on all these subjects. Just go to dougverley.com. It's all there. No tricks. The other thing I want to just point out in terms of leadership is the importance of being able to negotiate. And the importance here of being able to step away. If it's not going according to plan, if it's not working in the moment, don't let your emotions take over. You know, don't let your ego take over. We all have a tendency at times to allow this to happen. I have in the past, and it's cost me dearly on all kinds of levels. Just keep this in your mind. Step out. Step away, cool off, sleep on it, come back tomorrow. That often helps you achieve success. I'm flipping this page, excuse me. So if we come to the business model now and how to achieve success, really I'm talking to startups, I'm talking to going concerns of any size, small to medium, ASX listed, it doesn't matter. I'm talking to not-for-profits, I'm talking to government agencies. The principles largely apply the same, subject to a few nuances, besides family business. Family business, as I've said, is very different. It's an area that I have particular knowledge and skills in. But the starting point is the why. It's the vision. Now, you know, it sounds kind of MBA or ho-hum. Okay, yes. But unless you have a clear vision of where you're trying to get to and what you're trying to achieve, well, quite frankly, don't bother. You know, you have to have that vision. And in formulating that vision, I talk about going dark. Literally, close your office door, draw the curtains, put a big do not disturb sign up on your door. Go dark. This is not an autocratic process. This is not where you call everybody into a room and say, okay, guys, people, let's discuss our vision. No. This is where you, the leader, the entrepreneur, the person who is the founder of the business, the family leader, you name it, sits there and thinks, what are we trying to do here? Where are we trying to get to? Okay. And you start to formulate your vision. From that point on, it can become more of a team focus. I want to refer you to a book called Competing for the Future. One of the best books I've ever read, Competing for the Future, wherein they say that a true leader has the ability to imagine potential futures. Deepak Chopra, who I'm sure you've all heard of, refers to the fact that there's no such thing as actual reality. There's just your perception of reality. So it's what reality do you want to choose? What future do you want to choose? Now, do you have the ability and the wherewithal to manifest and make that future a reality? For example, Steve Jobs with Apple, he said, my clients don't know what they need. I'm not here to solve a problem or to solve a need. I'm here to create a need for my clients that they don't even know They have. Now, that's pretty profound. And that goes over into the realm of what's called blue ocean strategy. Some of you may have heard of that. Typically, strategy in the traditional sense is red ocean strategy. Why red ocean strategy? That's because you are competing in what are largely established and mature industries, and there's blood in the water. You are fighting for your market share. You're fighting for your next client, your slice of the action. Blue ocean, you're creating a whole new market, a whole new need. And that's what Steve Jobs did. You're going to have 1,000 songs in your pocket. You're going to be able to communicate with anybody from anywhere in the world with this little device. Frankly, I didn't think about it. I didn't know I needed it. Today, I can't do without it. IKEA, what a business model. Incredible vision. Amazon, Jeff Bezos. We all, for all of our lives, have wandered down to the bricks and mortar retail outlet. He said, no, just pick up the phone and I'll deliver it to your door. One of the most wealthy people in the world today. So now it starts to become a team thing. And I can't emphasize this enough. It's at this point in time that you start to become collaborative, consultative, and you start to become inclusive. The team now needs to get involved in formulating the strategy. What's our current situation, guys? Where do we live? What's the world look like? What's our business look like? What are our strengths and weaknesses? Let's have a look at the global macro situation. What are the US political elections going to do to us? Big issue there, big question. I watch it every day, and like most people in the world, I just love Donald Trump, but not really. What's happening in the micro side of things? What's happening with our competition? If you don't have that knowledge, you've got a problem. In fact, the fact is that chances are you don't have all that knowledge, but members of your team, consultants, people like me do. So you have to suck on all of that. Okay. What are our critical success factors? In order for us to succeed in this industry, what is absolutely critical to our success? The non-negotiables. What are the required critical capabilities to succeed? Now let's have a look at our SWOT analysis. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Do that in a very high-level way. And another template or model that I like to use is called the PESTEL model. So write that down, the PESTEL model. You can't do this without referring to the PESTEL model. And that stands for political, economic, social, technical, environmental, legal. Those are all the major moving parts. Rick, I know you're looking at your time. Are you? It's 31 minutes. We're getting there. I get pretty passionate about this stuff. So sorry, guys. Porter's 5 forces. What's going to happen in my environment that's going to really change the landscape? Okay. You have to do that strategic thinking before you move into the formulation. Now, strategy is long-term. Strategy, 3, 5, 10 years. You need to look at it in that way. What are our strategic objectives? What's our business objective? A strategic vision of our objectives, our values, and what product are we going to service? Who are our clients? Who's our target market? Segments, blah, 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 blah. And I'll get onto that in the next page. And then importantly, implementation. How are we going to make this thing happen? And here I refer to the 7S model, which I'll touch on in a moment, I think. The strength of leadership. Jacko Willink, very famous SEAL, in his book, Extreme Ownership, Extreme Leadership, talks about you have to take ownership. It's nobody else's fault if things don't happen, if things go wrong. You, the leader, take ownership. Stay close, but also stay out of the way. There's a very good book on my website. There are a number of book reviews as well, a number of case studies I've done on all the leading companies and books and things. Purpose-led leadership. Very good book. Have a look at that. So for me, a really great leader, and I'm sorry, I have to say this, I think great leaders are born. They don't just come about because they've done an MBA. Okay, there are attributes, skills, DNA makeup that really just makes you a great leader. And the key attributes to great leadership and achieving success, number one, vision. You need to be able to conceive of futures that might not be visible to everybody else. In that, you then move into being inclusive. Be prepared to listen to other people. Include other people. We don't know it all. You then also need to have an ability to clearly articulate and communicate what that vision is, why you are driven to achieve it, and how you're going to achieve it, and how all of those people that are within your team are going to contribute to the achievement of that. You need to assign ownership and responsibility, empower people, get out the way, and then stay close. One of the words that I've come to love the most in business is focus. Focus, focus, focus. If you're going to jump from pillar to post in strategy and business, they call that flip-flopping. One day you're this side, the next day you're that side. You don't know if you're Arthur or Martha, fish nor fowl. Your people are going to say the culture is going to be, and culture is, if you just complete the sentence, around here, we have a great strategy, a great leader. We know what we're doing. We know where we're going. Around here, our leader has no idea. He flip-flops from one day to the next. She doesn't know what the heck's going on. You can see the contrast. Be clear, be focused, drive, 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 drive. Stay on it. Be prepared to accept that you might be wrong and you might not be on exactly the right track and you may need to pivot. Okay, I've written a great article on my website about pivoting. Have a look at it. And celebrate the wins. In business, we need to know and we need to learn how to have fun. And we need to acknowledge the wins. We need to acknowledge those people that are doing well. And we need to celebrate every opportunity that we can. Right, I want to talk about the business model. I think I've got a couple more things to get through. Now, people don't know what business model is. 80% of people that I talk to don't know what business model is. And if you don't know, you're missing a trick. Your business model is your activity system. Okay. If you apply systems theory to the world, to a country, to a family, to a business, if it's all working in harmony, the sum of the parts are working in harmony, the system works well. If they don't, if mom and dad are fighting, if there's a drug problem in the home, if there's an alcohol problem in the home, if there's an abuse problem, the family unit breaks down. If the leader of a business is incapable, has problems, doesn't toe the line, doesn't set a clear strategy and path forward, it begins to break down. So you can write these down very quickly, but this will be up on my YouTube channel, which people can have a look at, and I know it will be posted by yourselves. I'm going to race through them, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. One, what are our key activities? What do we actually do? And I ask clients this question: what business are you in? Is this a good business to be in? How do you create value and capture value? And again, I get that glazed over look. You'll be amazed, 18 of us sat in a very advanced executive MBA class, and the lecturer said, okay, guys, tell me why you're in business. And we said, to make money, to work for the shareholders, to have fun, to create product. Not one of us came up with the actual answer. That is, we're here to solve a problem or meet the need of a client, a customer. Okay, so what business are you in? Is it a good business to be in? Who do you create value for, and how do you capture value? I've gone into so many businesses where the net profit margin is either negative or 2%. Please don't waste your time. Put the money in the bank. Critical capabilities. What are the critical capabilities? Key resources. Now, you need key resources in your business. Now, the most important key resource, Rick, is money. And if you don't have money, well, that's not where it ends, because there's ways to get money. There's ways to raise capital. And this now starts to go into business model innovation. This is where the magic is realized. You can raise money through the issuing of shares, debt, hybrid instruments, all kinds of ways you can raise money. So money should not be the impediment. I told you earlier, I shook hands and I bought 380 hectares on the beachfront for $50 million. I didn't have the money. I needed to go and find the money and work out how to do it, and we did it. And I do that for clients from time to time. Know who your target market is. Who's your client? Who are the segments within that market? What's your narrative or message to them? What's the nature of your relationship with your customer? What's your value proposition or your promise to your client? You know, your client relates to you because you're promising them something. What is that value proposition? Do you know what it is? Is it captured clearly on your website, in your marketing material? Do your team know it? No, I don't think so. Probably doubt it. What's your competitive advantage? So competitive advantage, how do you compete with your competitors? Now, there's only one of two ways you can compete in this marketplace. A, you do the same thing as competitors, just differently and better. No, sorry. You do the same thing as your competitors, just better. Okay, and you can go into what better means, or you do something completely different to your competitors. What's your path to market or your distribution channel? Now, that could be boots on the ground, it can be online, it can be all kinds of different things, but you need to know, how am I getting to my market? I'm getting to my market right now in doing this with you, because I will post this on my LinkedIn profile and I've got 25,000 connections there, and that's a path to market. I'll put it up on my website and YouTube. It's there. What are your revenue drivers? How do you make money? And what are your cost structures? What's costing you to run this business? And then very, very importantly, I want to say risk. People don't focus on the risk. Now, if you want to unlock success, you have to avoid the pitfalls or those areas where you're going to crash and burn, the risks. So all my clients that I work with, one of the first things I do with them is a risk analysis. And we put together a risk-weighted matrix and we draw focus on the risks. Yeah. Now, I know we're getting a bit tight on time, but this is where the innovation happens. Connecting the dots here. You have in strategy, you've got three ways that you can achieve your growth, your business objectives. One, organically, death by 1,000 cuts. Two, acquisition. 75% of those fail. Read my articles on my website as to why they fail. Many succeed, but you have to know what it is that you're trying to achieve and how it is that you make those succeed. Joint ventures and alliances. Those are the only three strategic vehicles you have at your disposal. Okay. Joint ventures and alliances invariably don't see the end of the runway. They don't take off for all kinds of reasons. And then what arena are you going to operate within? People have got big ideas. Oh, I want to go national. Have a look at my cage theory article. I think that's culture, administration, geographical location, the size of economies. Expanding beyond your borders is very seldom a good idea. So just think about the arenas. And then not lastly, staging and phasing. We can't do it all in one go. What comes first? What comes second? What comes third? Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, start first things first. Know what the end is. Start with the end in mind, but start with first things first. Okay, so very important to prioritize and to start with first things first. So what does success look like? You've now got to the end, and this is the last bit I've got on this. what does success look like? And you need to define that right up front. Success really can be seen in a number of different areas or aspects. If you think about the balanced scorecard as a tool, financial, customer, personal learning and development, competition, I like to put in there strategic objectives and stakeholders. You need to have defined objectives, measurable objectives. People often refer to SMART. I think you all know that acronym. I think it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Set your objective. So when we get there, this is what it looks like. And I want to make this point. In all of this, there are trade-off decisions to be made. You can be too ambitious to the detriment of your business. You have to think about the optimal capital structure, the optimal debt structure, and the risk you're taking on. One of the first things I did when I arrived in Australia in 2008 is I worked on a crisis management situation. A company had bought endless amounts of yellow goods, plant and equipment. Their biggest client was Rio Tinto, and the GFC had just hit, the global financial crisis. And Rio Tinto at that time had a mountain of debt. Their work dried up, and we were trying to fix that situation. So understand that, you know, to put the words out there, I want to grow revenue by 100% per year, every year for 5 years, may sound nice, but does it make sense? Is it logical? And I would be the first person to say, no, let's dial that back. Let's dial that back, and let's think about your capital structure. And then I guess one of the most important things here is that the most successful entrepreneurs, business people in the world acknowledge that they don't have all the knowledge, and they call in business coaches, business advisors, business consultants, and the like to augment the knowledge and experience and the like that they have. So take your ego, put it to the side. It's no great shame to call in advisors. My last point on this in terms of achieving success is to focus on you, the business owner, leader, mentor, family member, entrepreneur. I've had this where I've worked so hard under so much stress, so much pressure, so much anxiety that I collapsed in the street and had a massive meltdown and was rushed to hospital in an ambulance. It's really not worth it. Listening to me out there, think about work-life balance. Think about your family. Think about those other things in your life that exist beyond just work. Think about your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Think about your happiness. You know, yeah, there's lots that I could share with you. You know, we've had a very rough ride for a long time now, my family and I. On a very personal level, involving severe, unimaginable tragedy and sadness. And these things have come home to me. And I would urge anybody who's listening to this to go home tonight, kiss your children, tell them you love them, think about your family, think about the next family holiday, think about what makes you happy, and kind of where you want to peg success and define success. Guys, I think I went a little bit over. There's so much on my website to see, and I will come and talk to you whenever you want me to talk to you. It's a great pleasure and honor and privilege. Thank you so much to WBN and Wheatbelt Business Network. If you want to ask questions and whatever, then over to you.
Thanks, Doug. That was certainly a very insightful presentation and lots to digest there. I'm sure for people, I was typing away trying to keep track of notes, but we'll make sure we share some of those resources and books and things for you. We have had a couple of questions come through via chat, but I just wanted to see if anybody else had anything that they wanted to ask while we've got Doug on the line, and then if not, I can jump on. So if anyone does, feel free to unmute or pop your hand up. but if not, I'll make a start. So we had a question come through, Doug, and I guess it's a broad question, but it was, can I ask what is considered the most important strategy when you are moving your business from a small to medium size without, and there's a few caveats to this, causing burnout, impacting cash flow, and whether a rebrand is part of that? Now, I know without details of the specific business, that's sort of hard, but I guess the main ones is, what would you see as the most important strategy to transitioning your business from a small business to a more medium-sized enterprise?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a great question. Quite a few moving parts in that. So first and foremost, you have to have a plan. So the strategy comes in, let's say, a handful of flavors. One is growth. The next one's transformational. The next one is turnaround, and the next one is crisis management. So transformation is essentially change. It's change strategy. We're moving from here to there. And in order to achieve that change, you need to ensure that everybody's on board, because you are bringing about transformation of an organization. But more importantly, you are transitioning a team of people from one place to the next. People typically like to stay with what they know and where they feel most comfortable and secure, and not move through what's called that no man's land to that new place. So if you don't get your team's buy-in to achieve that transition or transformation, moving from, let's call it small co to medium co, you're doomed from the get-go. Okay, so vitally important. Now, what I would say is that plan needs to clearly set out the why are we doing this. It needs to put together the transitional team. There needs to be a team that sits and works on the plan and meets frequently to move it forward. You need to be prepared to celebrate the small wins along the way, to show people what success feels like and that they're on the right track and they're moving closer to where they want to be. They also need to understand the why. Why are we doing this? Isn't it just great where we are? Why are we doing this? I've worked with clients recently where they were just told that in 3 years' time, we have a sales budget of $100 million. Now, we're not discussing with you why, just go and do it. Now, I can assure you that that's the quickest way to kill morale, kill spirit, kill trust and belief, and for your people that have the most skill and the talent and ability to jump ship straight away, because they're not going to put up with that kind of nonsense. So you have to keep everybody in tow. So the plan is fundamental. The burnout piece is incredibly important. For some reason, and I could probably spend a day on this, people suffer a high level of burnout in the workplace today. People suffer a high level of mental health challenges in the world and in the workplace today. Leadership today needs to be incredibly... That's my dog. Sorry, guys. Leadership today needs to be incredibly mindful and dialed in to the well-being of, I think it just killed the cat next door. Don't worry. It's one of those things. Dialed into the well-being of people. Okay. And I would venture to say that most organizations out there don't know how to do this. Okay. So when moving from one point to the next, be mindful that you're transitioning people. You're expecting of people to do things. You're expecting of people to stretch outside their comfort boundaries, and it may have an impact on their mental health, their well-being and the like, and you need to know how to transition them. Burnout is an issue. Burnout for the leader or leadership team can be a big issue. So manage your own health. Make sure that your work-life balance is in place. And then I don't think you need to have a brand change. You change brand, you change look and feel, you change narrative for other reasons, but not because you want to go from small to big.
Excellent. Thank you, Doug. Sorry, I think, Rach, did you have your hand up for a question? I think I ignored you.
You unmute.
Oh.
There you are. Oh, okay.
All right,
Talk
I'm
some.
here. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, hi, Rachel.
Yeah, hi, Doug. Nice to see you.
Likewise.
My question's around venture capital. Like,
Yeah.
it's got so hard now to borrow money from banks and financial institutions. You've literally got to, sell a kidney to do it.
Yeah.
What's the best way for businesses out there that are looking to grow or have an idea or have a product that they're wanting to take to market? What are some ideas around raising venture capital?
Okay, well, Rachel, that's such a good question. I really love it. And I would be happy to do another online presentation masterclass with you on this very subject because it's so big. I've written a paper called Funding Options for Your Business, and I delivered a 2-day course for Oz Industry on that. And it's been a very big part of my working life for the last 20 or 25 years. I've raised a lot of money for my own businesses, 3 of them, and I've raised money for clients, and I've advised clients in this space for a long time. The first thing I want to say to you is that this is possibly one of the most complicated areas in business. And it's also fraught with legal challenges and potential consequences that whoever's going to be raising money, particularly from other people, need to be aware of, because you can fall foul of those laws, and the consequences are quite dire. Banks have become incredibly risk adverse. It's so hard to raise or get debt funding, and as you say, so when you step into the world of capital raising or fundraising, you're looking at so many different moving parts. Now, importantly, you've got to be investor ready. If you're not investor ready, whoever the person in the audience that you've chosen to speak to, listening to you, is, they won't take you seriously. So how to get investor ready so that when you step out there and you step in front of venture capitalists, private equity people, institutional money, high net worth, sophisticated investors, crowdfunding platforms and the like, you're on your A game. You are absolutely top draw, because you only ever get one chance. If you go in there and you blunder it, you're not coming back for a second cup of tea, trust me. Okay, so that's something that I've done with clients for a long time, is to get them investor ready. You need to have a very clear strategy, a very clear proposition. Everything I've spoken to you about today needs to be crystal clear for that investor audience. Crystal clear. They've got to get it. So when you talk about inspiring, as a leader, inspiring others, if you are a leader looking to start your own business, fund an initiative, secure expansion capital, secure pre-IPO funding or post-IPO funding, you have to be pretty convincing and inspirational in order to attract that money. We're competing in capital markets where they spoil for opportunity, and really their bottom line is, what's in it for me? Venture capital guys, they often talk about a 10-bagger. They want 10 times their money within a certain period of time. And those venture capital funds and private equity funds have got set time horizons of, say, 5 to 7 years. And if you're not going to bring them massive increase in return with an acceptable level of risk within that period of time, well, enjoy your tea, please go. You know, it's as simple as that. Institutional investors, you won't get in to see them typically until you're on the main boards, and that in your fund, your shares are liquid and they can trade you out, trade you in, whatever the case might be. High net worth individuals, again, you know, high net worth people are high net worth typically because they are smart, they've made their money, they know how to make money, they know how to ask the tough questions, and they know when they're getting a good answer, and they see a good thing as against when they're being spun a nonsense story. So you have to be good. Then, of course, you need to know, okay, well, now I'm ready. Which audience must I go and talk to? And I've dealt with clients who have just got off the plane. They've been flying around London, New York, speaking to some of the biggest private equity funds, trying to peddle their proposition, trying to raise money for their proposition. And to their surprise, most of them said, well, why are you even here? Our minimum check size is $50 million, and you're trying to raise 5 million. Why are you even here? Okay, so there's so much that goes into that. There really is. Have I answered most of your question, or have I missed something?
No, that's fine. That's good. It's good.
Yeah. Just an important thing here is you also need to know what your pre-transaction valuation is and your post-transaction valuation is. So what's the value that I'm going to be offering my shares to investors at? And should I raise that money, what's the value of my organization going to be? And those shares are going to be post that capital raising.
Yep.
Okay. And I just want to say as well, excuse me, one size doesn't fit all in this particular area. So people typically think, oh, I've got to go and get debt, or I've got to raise equity via ordinary shares. So that's not perfectly correct. Yes, there's debt and there's different types of debt. Then there's the issuing of shares, ordinary shares being one class of shares that typically has a voting right that ranks what's called pari passu, equal in every right with others. You may or may not want that. Then you have different types of classes of shares. Non-voting, I've used those successfully in the past, where you can raise a whole lot of money and not worry about losing control or dilution.
That sounds good.
You've got to be smart to do that, and you've got to know how to do it. Okay. You've also got preference shares, ordinary shares, convertible shares, all kinds of things, which really takes financial engineering know-how and ability to do. And then you've got what's called hybrid products. A hybrid product is neither debt nor equity, but it's both at the same time. And the most obvious one there is convertible loan. It's debt until it converts to equity. And there's certain triggers and the like. So that comes with all kinds of advantages and things as well. But it needs to be a consideration. So,
thank you.
Lovely question, Rachel. Thank you. And I'm very happy to do a 1-hour masterclass on that very subject.
Yeah. No, cool. That'd be great.
Yeah,
thanks. A lot to digest in there. Conscious of time, Doug, and I know people have got other commitments and whatnot to go to. So thank you very much for everything this evening. I think there's a few key takeaways that I think all businesses involved in this and those watching the recording later on is, what does success look like in your business? I think that's a really important one. Like, when you visualize success in your business, what does it look like? Having a clear vision, what are we trying to do? Where are we trying to get to? And formulating that vision. I think you touched on right at the beginning of this presentation that time is one of the most precious commodities. And I think that resonates particularly with a lot of our small business owners. And as you sort of said, a lot of them don't have a lot of time. And one of the questions we had was in relation to burnout. So very grateful for your time and insights. There's certainly a lot there for us to digest, and we'll reach out to you for some of those resources to share. I've had some text messages coming through asking for a repeat of that formula and different bits and pieces. So on behalf of WBN, Doug, thank you so much for your time this evening and for the Narrabeen CRC and everybody there in attendance, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Hope you found it insightful. And to our valued WBN members who are here this evening, thank you for coming in. We do have another masterclass coming up on Thursday. A quick plug for that, an IR law update with CCI WA. There's been some pretty substantial changes to industrial relations law. And we've got CCI WA's Associate Director of Workplace Relations giving a masterclass on Thursday, the 18th at 1 p.m. Free as always for WBN members, so feel free to dial in for that one. But thank you, everybody, on behalf of WBN. Thanks again, Doug. Fantastic presentation. We look forward to getting it out there, and yeah, be in touch again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, and thank you to the team. I just want to close by giving a plug to myself, if I may. People can follow me on my website, on LinkedIn, on Spotify, YouTube. I am open for business. I consult actively and I have capacity. So those people that would like to drop me an email, phone me, send me an inquiry on my website, I would love to chat to you. So thank you for this opportunity. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, team.
That's been fantastic. Thanks, Doug. Thanks all. And everybody enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao, guys. Bye.
Cheers.